All right, there is a twin brother of group by, and that is having clause, right? So we need to look into this as well. In fact, having clause has an existence because of group by, because having is a clause which can be used only after group by. Having is actually a conditional clause, something like what we have seen with where, right? We already use a conditional statement called as where we can filter out certain data based on certain conditions. So having does exactly the same purpose. What is the difference between where and having? We'll see that. But let's start with the syntax of having first. Now, as usual, select column names from table. Select whichever column names you want to select from, whichever table you want to select from. Group by column name. We have grouped the column name. We have seen it in the previous video. We have done it again. We have grouped the data by a certain column name. Now I want out of the grouped data, something should be a conditional statement. For example, I've grouped the entire data based on number of purchases done by every customer. Now I want the number of purchases to be greater than 50. So not only the entire transaction data has been grouped by customer, that is every customer's data is reflected, and the data being reflected is the number of items bought by the customer. I also want to filter out the data. While after having grouped it, I want to filter out the data so that the number of items bought in a year are greater than 50, right? So I'm not only I'm grouping, I'm also filtering. Grouping and filtering is happening together over here. Now, whenever that happens, the next clause which comes into existence is having clause. And then you put in having and then put in the condition over there, right? Put in the having clause and then you put in the condition. Let's take an example. Something like select customer ID and product ID from table name. Let's say the table name is customers. Group by customer ID. Okay. And now I want only those customer IDs where the product ID is that they are purchased, or product IDs or number of products, or count product ID that they purchase is greater than 3. Let's see this in SQL. Okay, I have already taken a lot of examples of group by function previously as well. So I'll just take perhaps one of the examples from the same. I think I used this customer gender over here. Okay, let me probably start by running this particular one. Right. So this is order status, in process and cancel. Now I want only the having number of orders greater than 10. So if the number of orders are greater than 10, only then I'll give the due importance to a particular category. Otherwise, I'll not. Right. So I did that, and now the data got filtered. Can you just look at it again? I'll just do it again. Control X, I run the query. So shipped 53, in process 12, and cancelled are 5. But for some reason, I don't want to pay attention to number of orders which are less than 10. So I put that condition having, which is a conditional statement, having number of orders greater than 10. And now I get only those orders after having grouped the data. Please understand the original data was this. The original data I'll just give you was actually, in fact, I'll just take this. This was the original data. Please understand that this was the entire original data. Okay, I've taken the count over here. So let me get rid of this so that you guys can, have a look at what was the original data. This was the original data. So order status, shipped, and order ID, right? So this is because I just selected 2 columns. Now, once I did that, what I did was I first of all input count order ID, because I need to be mindful of why am I grouping the data. Here I want to count the total number of orders. And then I grouped the data by order status. So I grouped the data by order status over here. Let me remove this. And then once I group the data by order status, right, I get shipped 53, in process 12, and cancelled 5. And even after that, I want to say that I want to put up a condition so that I don't want to pay attention to any orders which are greater than or rather less than 10. Okay, let me see. All right, less than 10. I get okay. I think something else have run. No worries. I'll just do this one. Achha, number of orders is not there because I haven't given the alias. That is number of underscore orders. Right now it should run. So now I am having shipped and in process number of orders is 53 and 12. Having clause is worked over here where the condition is number of orders has to be greater than 10. The same things applied over here. If I just look into this particular part and if it is becoming confusing, I'll take it to the next sheet over here. Right. So this is my group by, and now I want to having total quantity greater than 15. I just want to have a look at the products where the total quantity are sold are, greater than 15. And I have made a spelling error over here, which is TP. It's TO. If I run this now, it's going to fetch me only those product IDs where total quantity is greater than 15. The rest of the quantities are not fetched over here. right? We can have multiple conditions over here. I mean, in case there are, but there's not enough data over here. Less than 15 is going to fetch me the total number of quantities where it is less than 15, or here less than equal to 15, right? So that way, oops, equal to is put at wrong place, right? So this is how it's going to work. This is how having works. Now, what is the difference between having and where? Can I just do one experiment? I'll put in where. What's the harm in putting where over here? Because where is also conditional statement. So I put in, I get an error, and that error says that syntax error. Basically, it's not, the syntax is not correct, because where is never used after group by. After group by, you're always using having and where more or less are doing the same thing. Where can be used only when I haven't used group by yet. So even, I mean, before using group by, you can use where as much as possible and you can filter out data. But once you have used group by, the filtering option can only be done using the having clause. Please remember that.